The following is a presentation of the ForceCenter podcast feed.
From the center of the galaxy, this is the ForceCenter podcast feed, and this is one of our deep dives. We're going to dive very, very deep into a big, soothing Bacta tank of talk. What is inside the Bacta tank besides two podcasters? Well, it's the magic of lightsaber fights. We've covered so many, and now we are going to cover a very different lightsaber climax. Anyway, I'm Joseph Scrimshaw.
I'm Cat Napzok. Where do podcasters belong? In a goopy, gluey-like substance that can somewhat heal you. Happy to be here. This one's a lot of fun to take this part of the series home.
Yeah, exactly. But before we take it home, we want to let you know that today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. You can get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/ForceCenter. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Do you have a lightsaber that also has an MP3 player in the hilt? It might work in that. This week, we're continuing to recommend The Princess and the Scoundrel by Beth Revis. It is a great novel about the inner lives and the outer adventures of Han and Leia right after Return of the Jedi. We love this book, did a big review of it. So if you want to listen to the book, then listen to our review. You can download the free audiobook by going to audibletrial.com/ForceCenter. One more time, that's audibletrial.com/ForceCenter for your free audio book. Ken, would you want a lightsaber that is also an MP3 player?
I kind of need that. I have one of those record players that's also like a multifaceted machine that can play other things. I want to go back to the clock radio feel I had as a kid.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're heading into a time where nothing can be one thing. You got a record player that does CDs, cassettes, and also it makes toasts and it tweets for you. I think that's clearly the future, right?
It is. One time my friend got a very high-end fridge with internet capabilities, and I'm all for change and forward movement, but I just looked at him and was like, why? Why? Your Facebook app is on here. Why?
Can you imagine a fridge that also like has a camera and it takes a picture of what you take out and it auto posts whatever you took out of the fridge to all your followers on Eater?
Oh, I think you just created $1 million idea. So copyright that, trademark that.
Exactly. I'll make an NFT of it. All right. We are going to get into lightsaber fights. It is really fun to get to this. As we're recording, it's been a busy, weird day, so it's really great to get here into Star Wars land. We've been talking about lightsaber fights for quite a while now because they are such a key part of both the thrill and the core themes of Star Wars. They're just cool, but also they communicate some of the deepest ideas in Star Wars. We've discussed the original trilogy duels, the prequel battles, and the sequel conflicts, all the way up to this, the final battle in Rise of Skywalker. Rey walks into the Sith arena at about 1 hour and 43 minutes in the movie. Then she flies away triumphant at about 2 hours and 5 minutes into the film. And in between, this conflict is intercut with the Resistance fleet's desperate stand against the First Order and Finn and Janna's destruction of the Steadfast command ship. And we wanted to talk about this climactic battle because while it is not a direct lightsaber on lightsaber battle, the power and the symbolism of lightsabers are so vital to the story, to this entire scene, to the hero's victory, to this just big climax of the Skywalker saga. So, Ken, I wanted to start with this big picture question. Were you expecting a large traditional lightsaber battle in the third act of this film, and were you disappointed that there wasn't one at any point?
Short answer on the disappointment, no. Really thrilled by this trip into the pit of Hades we got, I guess. So sorry, not sorry. But I will say, going into the movie, perhaps I did expect, not even that I wanted, but I did expect a traditional lightsaber fight. I think my mind might have been going to Kylo and Rey, naturally, and that's maybe even before official word of Palpatine came out. Then that happens, and the trailer comes out, and we all cheer and roll it again, and then perhaps I was thinking it would be, the ruins of the second Death Star. That might be a spot. But then I think you and I and Jennifer discussing, we're like, that just seems like they wouldn't show us that in the trailers. So I think all that to say, my expectations were all over the place, but happy with what we got. And one of the reasons I think I'm personally not disappointed is because of the two fights we previously discussed in the last episode. That was just lightsabers clashed. It had meaning, it had thrills. And so it was like, great, let's do something bigger. And this is bigger to me and has its own meaning. And I get people are probably going to just tweet the podcast advertisement that we put out. That's not a lightsaber fight. We're going to get that. I know we're going to get that. But listen to this podcast. We're telling you right now, yes, you're right. It's not a classic lightsaber fight, but we're analyzing it because it is really about lightsabers in a lot of ways.
Exactly. I think a part of the power of it is that it is not a lightsaber on lightsaber battle. I think that's part of what gives it more meaning for the idea of just what lightsabers are, what are they symbol of, all that kind of thing. I think I've never been disappointed because I had hoped for a big lightsaber battle, certainly. And then as the trailers come out and you see Rey and Kylo on the ruins of the Death Star, I kind of pinned all of my classic lightsaber conflict hopes on that. And it's partially just kind of being narrative brained, really hoping that the big conflict between Rey and Kylo would happen earlier in the film and that they would end up kind of facing Palpatine together. And I think, I don't know why, I just kind of assumed it wouldn't be Palpatine out there double swinging blades like he did in his younger years. I don't know why I assumed that, but I kind of did. And so I was not terribly shocked by it, that there wasn't a big classic lightsaber on lightsaber duel. And I know in the time since the film came out, there have been those Matt Smith discussions of, hey, he was at one point maybe in discussion. Maybe it was to be young Palpatine, that Palpatine uses their life energy to restore himself. And why not go way young? Why stop at fancy robes? Why not make yourself Matt Smith and fight with two lightsabers against both Ben Solo and Rey? And I know a lot of people listening right now are probably still in the camp of that would have been great. And as always, we respect different opinions. But I'm really personally glad that there wasn't a big three-way lightsaber duel between Rey and Ben and Palpatine, because I think it allows this climax, this finale, to really be its own thing and to truly be different. And in particular, we're going to talk about it a bunch. It really allows us to see the Jedi's use of the lightsabers in a different way, as pure defense, as a pure shield against the darkness in a really straightforward way. And I think it also really keeps the lightsabers truly a symbol of the Jedi. Like, yes, the Sith use lightsabers, but the Jedi have poured so much meaning into their lightsabers, where I feel like for the Sith, a lot of times it's another weapon, but for the Jedi, it's this core of their identity that is summed up by this weapon that they feel so responsible for, right? Like if a Sith lost their lightsaber, it'd be like, well, it's a bummer, I'll get another one, right? Yeah. The Jedi uses their blade, like that's their responsibility. So I think that those are a couple of the reasons that it really stands out to me.
Now, a lot of big ideas in there. I love hearing them. And going to the Matt Smith thing, hey, I'm enjoying him as the Rogue Prince in House of the Dragon. I know you're a Doctor Who fan. That's one of the things that I'm like, if they had done it and they pulled it off and I didn't know the other option existed and that was what I saw, I bet I would have been like, oh, that's great. And I bet we would have found some thematic meaning in it. I think it's one of the things where I say it's not just a would have, they could have done that, but they didn't. And what remained was something that I think was true to the conflict, particularly conflict between Rey and Palpatine. And Ian McDiarmid there, you're never going to lose when you have McDiarmid from beginning to end. And I think that's where I kind of come down on it there. And I don't know if it's, I don't even want to say generational, but you and I are the generation that, Sheev was a lightning thrower, he wasn't a blade wielder. And love the stuff we get in the prequel era. We reviewed that. Also, the Clone Wars, him and Maul and Savage Press. Great stuff. So without a doubt, it works for me. Works for me to have a blade, but I don't know. There's just something at the end. Like, this is what I want to see. Lightsabers against lightning. Sign me up. Let's go.
Yeah. Angry two lightsaber Sheev in the Clone Wars, putting down Maul and Savage Press. That's one of my favorite lightsaber fights. So yeah, it's not about Sheev. It's more about, we really want to summarize the Skywalker saga and bring it home. How are we going to do that and who with? And yes, very pro Matt Smith. This is a pro Matt Smith space.
I feel like now I've caught up to you. Like we both have our things that we can say. Yeah, Matt Smith. Yay,
Yeah, he's the Rogue Prince.
The Rogue Prince, Daemon Targaryen. Yeah.
The Rogue Prince and the Madman in the Box. He's got a lot of great titles from all the genre stuff he's been in. He's got a hell of a resume. So getting back to Star Wars, throughout this big climax, we see the lightsabers used in many ways, and we're going to talk about these individual beats, but I really wanted to kind of throw them all out there to summarize all the different ways that we do see lightsabers in action, both literally in action and sort of thematically. Palpatine wants Rey to use the Skywalker blade to strike him down in a ritual of hate that will allow Palpatine to possess her. Rey defies Palpatine, passing the Skywalker blade to Ben Solo through their Force dyad connection. And then we even get some straight up lightsaber fighting time when Ben uses the blade to defeat the Knights of Ren. Rey ignites Leia Organa Solo's blade to defend against the attack of Palpatine's sovereign protectors, the Sith Royal Guard types. And then together, Rey and Ben raise their blades to defy Palpatine, but of course he force steals their life energy, and the blades clatter to the floor, fallen, lost, sad. Then, encouraged by the voices of Jedi past, Rey rises and calls both lightsabers to her hands and bounces Palpatine's barrage of Force lightning back at him, destroying the Sith Lord. And finally, Rey buries the Skywalker twins' blades at the Lars homestead and ignites her own blade in honor and reflection. So I just kind of wanted to break down the actual lightsaber-related beats so everybody could kind of imagine what all we're talking about. So with that in mind, Ken, what are your current feelings on this final Jedi-Sith battle and the lightsaber's role in it? Have your feelings changed at all in the years since the movie came out?
It's funny. I'm looking at your notes. Have your feelings changed over the years? I'm like, years? Oh, wait. Yeah, it's over years. Oh, God. Oh, God. No. I'm sorry. I love it. And it's big and it's melodramatic. I mean, it is melodramatic. Long have I waited. It's just everything I kind of wanted. It's this mythic storytelling. It's just one of the things about Rise of Skywalker in general that I understand might certainly rub up against other people's feelings. But I'm an unlimited power guy now, which I wasn't always in my Star Wars life. That scene is everything, and I just want that. And to me, this kind of big melodramatic thing, what I mean by that, it's I don't know, there's a connective thread between properties like Star Wars and say Lord of the Rings, which deal with that kind of speech too of we shall go forth and defend. Like I just kind of like that sometimes. I also like the more grounded stuff. Can't wait for Andor. We're on the day of recording. We got some little bit more Andor preview content that looks great. As mentioned, I'm crazy for Game of Thrones of the world because it's a little more grounded at times. I do like the over dramatic, melodramatic stuff. And this, for the final chapter, the Skywalker saga really worked for me on all those levels. And it's like, I am all the Sith. I am all the Jedi. Yes, you both are. And that's why I bought a ticket. It's the last stand of good and evil in this particular saga. And then if I may about the lightsabers,
please.
It is very much about the lightsabers. You mentioned it already. You really went to a spot that I was excited to celebrate and explore, this handheld symbol of peace, of justice in the galaxy. And think about when you first saw a lightsaber, multi-generational point of view here, right? Was it Ben Kenobi showing Luke an ancient weapon used by the guardians of peace and justice? Was it in your youth, did you see a young child on Tatooine yearning for freedom? Not just adventure, but yearning for actual freedom, seeing the symbol of hope on the belt of a stranger. And for me, in truth, it was seeing a hilt flying through the air in a time of need and a green blade igniting so a brave soul can save his friends, not even the galaxy in that moment, his friends. These are big concepts that the lightsabers represent and represent so much in Star Wars. And you're right, the Sith have them too. And a red blade, it does look cool. I'm always excited about red blade. But this final fight kind of affirms all that. It's an ode to the lightsabers more than anything. It shows Luke and Leia's equal footing in the saga. We're going to get into that. And it's not about blades clashing, right? It's about the blades uniting to confront fear, to fight evil. So this is the Ballad of the Lightsabers is what I'm calling this fight.
Yeah. No, I so agree about both the big picture point of everything stylistically going on in this finale and the lightsabers in particular. I've always loved this whole scene, and I think I only love it and appreciate it more as it starts to connect to more Star Wars storytelling. And you know, I take a break and I haven't watched it in a little while, and then I come back to it and am reminded about just like how just on the money all of the ideas are. They're so clear about what they're trying to convey. And stylistically, yeah, I really love that it is in the ultimate in pulp meets myth, right? If Star Wars arguably has two kind of broad birth points where George Lucas is a kid and he's like, I like the thrill and adventure of Flash Gordon, and I like how you kind of don't know how he's going to get out of this next one, and here's an ice monster, and here's a lava dragon, and I love the weirdness and the pulp, right? But also, I feel like kids these days need something didactic. They need some lessons conveyed in these powerful, mythic, ancient ways. Let's combine those two things. Two things that arguably maybe society would look at as the lowbrow of pulp and the highbrow of ancient myth, right? And let's smash them together. And that is Star Wars. And that's so what we've been discussing about lightsabers, because lightsabers are just like the reason that all of us treat any cylindrical object as an opportunity to pretend it's a lightsaber is because they're laser swords and they go whoosh, whoosh, and they're cool and they're fun. It's so pulpy. But then everything that makes him interesting on a deeper level is mythic. And I think the fact that in this finale, but Rise of Skywalker in general is really trying hard to do both. This is going to be mythic. It is going to be tied to these kind of deep, specific ideas about fear versus hope and sort of embodiments of evil and embodiments of light. But then also it's like it's in a weird pit of Hades, right? Where the lightning comes up through the cracked ground, and there's an evil wizard hanging from a metal claw, and you can pass objects, through space and time to one another because of our deep connection. It's so pulpy and it's so mythic. And I think the pulpy side of it is sometimes why some people don't enjoy that side of Star Wars as much and bump up against Rise of Skywalker being a little tonally and stylistically different, because I feel like it's almost more trying to celebrate that.
Yeah. First of all, I think you need to write a book called Where Pulp and Myth Meet. I think that's a great idea. And I am so behind you. I say this with total love and respect. I really think you're a defender of pulp. I really think you are.
I am.
Yeah, proudly. And I think you can like all these for different reasons. That buffet we talk about. Again, going to Andor. Who knows? Some pulp will probably show up, like a good glass of OJ. It'll probably show up at Andor. But I'm going to that for a different feel, right? Maybe. Jury's out. We'll have to see how all 12 of those episodes play out. But yeah, everything you talk about, it is more. It is unlimited power. It is for Frodo. It's all the things here in Star Wars, and I really feel fulfilled by it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then in terms of just like the lightsaber fight of it, I think that it's the lightsabers support multiple themes, right? We're going to talk about them in more detail, but just is almost an overview, right? That this idea that two are stronger than one, two or more are stronger than one, which is throughout the film in numerous ways, but that's really supported by the Skywalker twins lightsaber. Supporting this big idea of who the Skywalkers are, right? It's not just to any lightsabers. It's this idea that the greatest threat to Palpatine has always been the Skywalker twins, Luke and Leia, right? He's been afraid of their power as soon as he figures out they exist, right? They're a threat because they're going to turn Vader. They're this kind of endless threat. If Luke even looks at somebody else, a bunch of other Jedi are going to spring up in Palpatine's mind. So here's those blades that are meaningful because they have always been standing against Palpatine in the darkness, but they're also personal to Rey, right? Because they represent her journey of wanting family, of wanting connection. Everything going on with the lightsabers is meaningful to Rey and Kylo. They've had a push-pull over the Skywalker family blade thematically and literally throughout this entire trilogy. So what's happening here with them willingly passing it back and forth is, powerful to that. We also get some straight up lightsaber action. But I think like the most important thing to me about it all is that the lightsabers are used in defense the entire finale. And I think that's the thing about, lightsabers can actually absolutely be used in defense in a lightsaber on lightsaber combat situation. And in many of the lightsaber fights we've talked about, that's what the hero is doing. We've talked about other lightsaber fights where the hero is maybe confused or the hero is drawn into a moment of anger, like Rey is in the big lightsaber on lightsaber battle in Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
But this is so clearly Rey and Ben going, okay, we're grounded. We know what it is to be a Jedi. We know what the purpose of these weapons are. We know what the symbolism of these weapons is, and it is pure defense.
Yeah. 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 And all set to, by the way, the greatest rock version of Ray's theme out there. It's like, what was that? The Trans-Siberian Orchestra that used to do like Christmas songs, but in rock orchestra set. That's what that Williams doing that Ray theme, and it's all set there. Yeah. And you're right. It's one of those things like once, Kylo's got his hands full and everything, but once the blades are there, it's thematically tied to the core of the Jedi Order we grew up with.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus, I love this overall because I enjoy literally every line Palpatine says. It's hard to pick a favorite.
It really is.
Long have I waited for my grandchild to come home. That's just some creepy wolf in the woods.
Yeah.
Stuff there,
It's kind of fairy tale. Absolutely it is. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the last big picture thought, and we'll start to get into some of the details. I think that some people struggle with this because they feel there are too many beats that are repetitive of Return of the Jedi. And I think there are beats that are Star Wars poetry is what I would call them. Other people would call it repetitive. Fair enough. But what I do like that is similar to Luke's journey in Return of the Jedi is that for Rey, in this whole finale, she is descending into the heart of darkness, both the galaxies and her own, right? This idea that Luke needed to face Vader again in Return of the Jedi to help save the galaxy if he can, but also to help save his own soul, to make sure that he doesn't become him. Mm-hmm. And I like that that's going on in this climax with Rey as well. She is going there, to save the galaxy, but also to face herself.
Yeah, intertwine. Absolutely.
Intertwine. And on that theme, let's get into why is everybody there? What are they doing this stuff for? We like to talk about the characters, Rey, Ben, Palpatine. What's at stake? Why are they fighting? What is victory for them? Ken, let's start with Rey. For you, why is she there? What is victory?
So at the center of this fight is this idea of selflessness versus selfishness, right? And so that's kind of hanging over a lot of this three. And I'm looking at Rey. To me, it's a lot of it's accepting all the pieces she's discovered on the path thus far. Even going back to when we meet her on Jakku, she's picking up so much information, so much of her truths, her identities, the obstacles, everything she's overcome, and then at the end of it all, putting it all together and kind of making this choice to be who she wants to be. And her identity is very much at stake. Like you said, she's going to confront that as well as save the galaxy. And there's a tidal wave of evil, doubt, insecurity, weakness, and of course, fear. And do I stand alone in the face of all that? And I think by standing up, which to me is about accepting herself and all of that to this point, she connects to all of us watching, the voices of the Jedi, and the answer back is we've always been there. And that's part of this journey. And I think it's a give love, get love situation for me. And that's all kind of at stake. It's her truth. It's her identity, as well as the galaxy, the weight of the galaxy, the lightweight.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what makes it powerful and mythic, right? You could tell a story like this where you have a steadfast hero who's maybe got some other things going on and they're going to fight the good fight because that's what they do, because that's who they are, because that's who they have to be. And that there is an element of that, I think, with Rey, where she wants to prove that she is a Jedi, right? We get that thread set up that she doesn't want to let Leia down. She doesn't want to let Luke down. It's expressed as Leia. That is, Kylo's kind of final twist of the knife before he turns back to the light, that she can't go back to Leia because she's let all this anger in. She has failed Leia just like he did. So I think that there is a desire to prove that she can be a Jedi by doing what Jedi do, to stand between the darkness and the rest of the galaxy. So in some ways, I think the first level of what's she there to do? What's victory? Saving the galaxy, but I think it is so much about her personal journey as well, right? She wants to prove to herself that she can choose to be true to her spirit, that Palpatine doesn't define her, right? Luke gives her this encouragement, but she needs to face it and test it and see if she has that resolve to stand true to her beliefs of who she is. And then I think this great endless battle in Star Wars between fear versus hope, the dark side really, really representing fear. Palpatine is great at pushing buttons of fear, and Rey, I think, wants to face her deepest fears. I think she's come up against them multiple times in the sequel trilogy, but I think now she's clear that, okay, that's what I fear. Luke told me confronting fear is the destiny of a Jedi. So I think she's specifically addressing the fear that's always been there, but really emerged and is at stake throughout Rise of Skywalker, that she will bring pain to her friends, right?
Yeah.
Palpatine pushes that button specifically by saying, hey, if you strike me down, I'll let your friends up there in the resistance ships live, and saying, but after all, you brought them here. Like,
You did it.
Just like you dropped that tree on BB-8 in Act 1, and then thought you killed Chewie, and then thought you killed Leia. Like, I mean, he could have just laid it all out, but he's pushing that button, right?
Sorry, by the way, I would have loved McDarmid to be like you did to BB.
Like you dropped the tree on the astromech. Yeah. But then the ultimate, I think, greatest fear that has defined Rey and her journey is the fear of being alone, right? And she goes there with the hope that she can do this, goes there with sending the beacon with the hope that her friends will follow. Gets that great moment of support by Ben right after Palpatine pushes that fear too and saying, the only family you have here is me. Then Ben shows up, but then she appears to lose him. It appears she's losing all of her friends. And instead of giving in to that, like, oh, all of my fears have come true, I am alone again, everyone's gone, she pushes past that to the hope of reaching out to the Jedi for that support, for that validation, for that encouragement. Like you were saying, the things we all need. So I think at the end of the day, for me, the victory conditions for Rey are save the galaxy and push past my fears to validate who I really think I am and who I really want to be. If I can get past these fears, which this is huge and pulpy. They're in an underground evil lightning cave in an arena full of cultists.
Yeah, druid-like chants. Yeah, absolutely.
Right? But she is facing what all of us face every day. Can I get up and can I push past the fear and push past getting knocked down and be true to the person I believe I am?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's something you said. I love it. It's a bit of a two-parter. It's an ongoing journey within this bigger journey, right? I really, in watching it again for this episode, it's the trailer moment, right? It's her, she's kind of said some big words to Palpatine. She's got the saber out. But she still does feel she's alone. And I think there's this, she stands brave, she stands tall. And when she feels Ben and when she starts to see him, this is right before the big saber exchange, right? Mm-hmm. There's a look on Rey's face, Daisy Ridley playing it. It is just, I don't know. There's some great power in that, but it's not the end. It's not the end. And you're right. She loses Kylo or Ben. He falls down and this and that. And it leads to the big thing. But I just love that moment. It is kind of like you find strength of, I'm going to do this myself. And in saying that or doing that, you find out who was really around you. And can you accept it? And can you reach out to it?
Yeah, no, I mean, that look on her face is just like the look of, oh, I'm not alone, I'm not alone. Yeah, it's so powerful. So powerful. So speaking of Ben, let's move on to good old Ben Solo. What do you feel like is at stake for Ben? Why is he there? What is victory for Ben Solo?
Yeah, redemption song. Fighting for what his mother stood for is one thing that comes to mind. Fighting for the causes his father made the choice to fight. And that great dreamlike conversation with his dad. And so a lot of ways, again, there's other things, bigger things always at stake here, but fighting for his family in the past he tried to destroy comes to mind. Fighting for Rey to be Rey, kind of like now, I'm sorry for all the things I've done and all the things I said to you. I'm no longer struggling with her over anything. I'm there to affirm her place in the story. I think that's one of the things I think he's there for too. He's going there for her in a way. Again, a lot of other things that you can pull out of what he's needing to go there for, including maybe defeating the Palpatine that he knows exists because he's already met him. But I love this idea. If he's fighting to protect the connection he has with Rey, he can't do this alone either. And I go back to one of the first things we hear is Lor San Tekka. I know where you came from and you cannot deny the truth. You cannot deny your family. You cannot deny your heart. And that's where the conflict has been in him for this whole journey. And I think he goes back for all of that and connecting it to Leia, connecting it to Han, connecting it to Rey, and him kind of going, I need to have a part in this. I need to make this decision to be there.
Yeah, no, I so agree with you. I think there are, layers to it. I think there is definitely the save the galaxy. I think he understands, having been wrapped and twisted in the dark side, what it is and what, the thing that he has just freed himself from, that horrible cold, lonely, empty existence of just always pushing everyone away and grabbing for more and more and more, that's Palpatine, and that's coming for the whole galaxy, and that's it, right? So I think he's got like this intimate understanding of what's at stake. But then, particularly in the way it's performed, the way it's shot, it's so personal for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
There, you can absolutely kind of assume some like, okay, I've returned to the light. I'm reconnecting to the light side of the Force. I have a responsibility. I helped put this in motion. I need to set things right. You can assume that stuff's there, but I kind of feel like what we see on screen is so personal, right?
Yeah.
It is that memory of like when he's talking to his father of, if it's been in his head for this long of like, there's no point in turning around and making a better choice because my mother will never take me back. I've lost her.
Mm-hmm.
I've lost, everything basically if I've lost her.
Mm-hmm.
And Han saying, she might be gone, but what she stood for, what she fought for, I so agree with you that he is there for his mother, right? He's there for what she stood for, what she fought for. Yeah. What his father chose to fight for, standing by his mother's side. That's huge. And then to be there for Rey, right? It is really like it is the light side version of what he's tried to be there for her before.
Yeah.
He's tried to be with her, right? Like he's offered his hand, right? But he's offered his hand with manipulation and caveats.
It was a gloved hand. It was a dark leather, black gloved hand.
Right. And it was like, yeah, neither of us have to be together. So why don't you change? Why don't you fall to the dark side? Why don't you, Rey, be who I tell you to be? And this is the offering his hand selflessly, right? With there are no strings attached. It's just you don't have to be alone. I don't want you to be alone. It's just, I am here for you, so you don't have to stand alone.
Yeah, and this true support of all these things. She's been told she is, or wanted to be, or couldn't be, and I love that he's just there. In a weird way, you could say just supporting her decision. Like, I'm here with you there, but connecting to, because she's got the big found family stuff going on. When he's got the family he had that he tried to destroy and run away from, and that's some of the stuff that he's dealing with, and it's two sides of the coin a lot of times in life. So again, going back to Force Awakens and the Tuonall Village, just bringing it all back to that. And he's there acting like his father, but fighting for what his mother stood for. The shrugs, the finger points, everything. Really Han's kid, works for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's there to be charming too. That's his other goal, just to be charming as hell. I think a little bit easier to analyze, perhaps, is Sheev Palpatine, Darth Sidious, hanging from an Omen harness. What do you feel like Palpatine wants in this fight? How does he win?
Yeah, just wants to win, right? That's the win. What? Just win, baby. No, I love this. Love this stuff here. I think to me, I was trying like never having to let go. Unlimited power forever and ever. Amen. I'll take your energy. I'll take your energy. I'll take it from both of you at the same time. Whatever it is, he's going to take it. And also, he doesn't have to face the truth that his time is up and good can stand against evil. He doesn't want to let go, man. And he needs to win to prove that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I feel like Palpatine's motivation is always the same, right? It is power, unlimited power, getting more, winning, victory. Only he should rule. Only his voice matters. All that stuff. But on a practical level, this is, more mythic, more pulpy. This idea of it isn't just turning Rey to the dark side, right? It's possessing a young woman's body and making her power his. I think it really goes to that idea of like, he's surprised by the dyad energy and he is able to restore himself and he's happy. He's happier with that, right? Of like, okay, great. Everything else was BS.
Yep.
Ideally, I want to restore the one true emperor. But before he figures out he can do that, right? His victory condition is, I am not going to accept that my attempt to cling to life is unnatural. And, the organic physical galaxy is rejecting it. I cannot find a clone that will last. So I'm here hanging and rotting. I will literally take this woman's body and I will sell her a bill of goods that we'll kind of co-drive.
Yeah.
You'll be Empress Palpatine. You'll be sitting on the throne, but I'll be there too. I mean, if my best friend pitched me that, I would say, let's talk about the details more. But if an evil sorcerer is like, I just want to co-live with you in your body, I would not believe it for a second.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love what you're saying too. Is it's one of the things you and I talk about Palpatine a lot of. He's great with those plans, but along the way, he's like, oh, well, I wasn't planning for that, but I'll take that too. I'll roll with this. I'll spin it into something great for me. And I think that's a lot of the dance with Kylo at the beginning, and whether or not how much of that is to get Kylo to bring her there. We'll never really know. Palpatine, he always seems to win when he comes up with his little plans on the fly. So I love all that. I love what you're saying about him, the possession. It's not just a join the dark side. Here's a robe. It's give me you.
Yeah. Give me everything. Yeah. And I always take it as he says exactly what he means to Kylo. He fears the Jedi and he knows knows Rey's true spirit. He just is hoping that he can break her, right? I think he wanted her when she was young and more impressionable, that he could manipulate more easily over a longer period of time. He wants Kylo to eliminate the Jedi threat. He doesn't need her running around the galaxy being an inspiration to other people in a threat. And then Leia, the Princess of Alderaan, spoils his plan and he pivots, right?
Yeah.
And he's good at it and good at finding those fear buttons and pressing them. The other interesting thing to me about this particular Palpatine scene is he, of course, wants unlimited power. He wants to live forever, but he's also just really wants petty revenge, right? Like he wants revenge on the galaxy. He's mad at the galaxy for having stood up against him, right?
Yeah.
He's not in hiding. Just he in the actual dialogue, he has a laundry list, his bleep list of people that he wants to pay back, right? He's mad at the story of rebellion. He is mad at the Skywalkers themselves, right? That petty line of his once I fell, so falls the last Skywalker. He's mad at the idea of Jedi. So I really like that it isn't just, I want unlimited power, but I have a checklist of concepts and specific people and specific groups that dared to challenge the essential truth that I should rule all. Like if he won, I feel like he'd be like, and where's that Wookiee? I remember he ran around with everybody who pissed me off. I'm getting him too, right? And then we're going to that moon with the bears and I'm wiping out every one of it. Like there's a petty vengeance going on too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Skywalker stuff has always been great. Even if it's Snoke, and whether we've always talked about how much agency Snoke has over his own mind and words, but I still think even if Snoke completely is his 100% himself, he's probably sat down at a coffee with Palpatine, and Palpatine's like, "That's Skywalker, that Luke. We got to get him." And Snoke kind of feels that energy too. Yeah, you're right. It's like, and let me speak out against those who believe in empathy and compassion, and he just rolls down the list. Again, because this is a character, this new canon thing of he kept tabs on everyone. And if you fudged some forms, you have some moral crack, he knows. He's down. He is that petty. He is that small because he needs to see where he can manipulate you over.
Now I want to hear Ian McDermott say that I have seen your moral crack. Yeah. So at the end of the day, Palpatine, power, unlimited power. Rey, save the galaxy, prove to herself that she is the person that she needs to be. And for Ben, are we saying ultimately that his main goal, saving the galaxy, living up to the ideals of his family, but also just be there for Rey, man, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we always like to talk about how the environment helps the story or the thrill factor of the lightsaber combat. So how do you think this very unique, very specific environment helps tell this story or make the lightsaber parts more thrilling?
An arena of darkness with the greatest evil in the galaxy staring down our heroes. Your Honor, I rest my case. Like that's all you need. Throwing some lightning, all the stuff we talked about, the druid chanting, the Sith cultists, the Sith eternal fleet built in secret, all these kind of things that, I understand we don't have the immediate nuts and bolts of how they put the nuts and bolts together to build the Star Destroyers. That's rolling out in time. There's a lot of big questions around it. I can't reiterate enough. Just It is what it is on screen. It's the themes aren't hiding. It is truly going down into the pit of Hades. I always say that. I always talk about Mordor, which is not subtle either, you know? And that's what this is about. And it's the final saga. It's final chapter in the saga, I should say. So yeah, it just ramps it all up for me and takes it out of, it makes it not grounded for me. So that I can place myself in it. So I can place my own struggles and doubts and fears and inspirations and needs. I can see myself in all of the moments in this, and as well as see it for Rey and see it for Ben and see it for what it is. See it for Lando and Nine Numb and Poe and Snap Wexley, rest in peace. Like there's so much going on above and below and down below, and I just love it. I'm here for it.
Yeah. I love it. It for the pit of Hades thing, the belly of the beast idea, this mythic idea has been in Star Wars in many different ways. Everything from, Lucas referring to the trash compactor is a belly of the beast motif. This is kind of like the ultimate belly of the ultimate beast, right? Yeah. It is the Sith stripped of any masks. And I think that's what's really powerful and interesting to me about it on sort of like a mythic level and on a variety level. How is it different than the Death Star to Throne Room, right? It is throughout the Rise of Skywalker, it is a slightly different take on Palpatine and the Sith of like, it isn't Palpatine kind of using the government as a bit of a mask. This is ripping off the mask and saying, this is exactly who we are. This is exactly what we are. Forget, tell Cersei it was me. It's tell the whole galaxy it's me. It's the Sith. When you die, I want the Sith on your lips. I want you to know what we are, right? Yeah. And the fact that this is this kind of ancient, hidden place, it's the true home down in the belly where even the planet is kind of ripping apart and angry, and that, cold, lonely, awful screeching lightning shooting up from the ground.
Screeches, yes.
The screeches, one of the best sound designs in Star Wars, in my opinion. And then the throne there, it's not, it has some relationship with the Death Star throne and with Vader's throne and that, but it's ancient and stabby. It's like there's no lies to it. There's no veneer of polite society to it. And then to kind of go along with all this, this is mask off Sith throughout Rise of Skywalker it's an arena.
Yeah.
It's on their secret world down in the bottom of the structure, but it's still an arena, which gives it this sort of like gladiator vibe, right? It's like evil Dodgers Stadium. That gives it a different vibe than the throne room, which is like it's a leader's command center, but like and there's some elements of that we talked about in the Return of the Jedi fight where Palpatine's kind of up there and it's almost like he is at the top of a sort of coliseum in the audience seats, and then the fight with Luke and Vader, they're on a stage for him, fighting for him in the pit. But this takes that idea to kind of this next level where Rey is literally being watched by thousands of cultists. It just gives it this different vibe and energy.
Right there with you, obviously. But I love, definitely appreciate the Lady Olenna reference there in Game of Thrones, but also Christoph Waltz saying, "It was me, James, the author of All Your Pain." I just kind of love, sometimes, I don't know, there's something I could just kind of like that. It's just, this is the great battle of good and evil, and evil was always there.
Yeah. Plus, for thrill, there are big holes in the ground, which for me, you either got to be lightsaber fighting in a high place you can fall off of, or there have to be big random holes.
Yeah.
So what realities of filmmaking do you think about when you watch this fight?
Here's where I went. I don't know if this stays within the boundaries of this question here, but the realities for me start with the development process. And even before the writing, even before pen to paper or fingers to keyboards, however you want to say it, how do you take this home? Once, forget all the behind the scenes drama and stuff, but once whoever gets this film, how do you take it home? And not just the movie, the saga. And I just can't help it. It's daunting. And you're never going to make everyone happy. So you have to go with what you believe in. And through that, you connect with those who've always been with you. that it's almost this meta theme. I don't think that was intentional necessarily. I don't think Terrio and Abrams are like, let's connect to the Star Wars fans who've been with us since episode 7. No, but it kind of ends up working that way. The movie plants its flag here. It says, this is what we're building to. This is the final fight. And the reality is we're going to do this and we're going to see who connects with it. And we're going to stand tall and we'll see who shows up to join the fight with us. And I really go to that before you actually go in any other of the filmmaking processes.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a fun visual to imagine filmmakers, whispering, be with me, be with me. But I really like what you're saying. I think one of the things about the filmmaking process that I think about the more I watch it is the script is hyper specific. And as always, it's really fine if you don't like it. But I really strongly disagree with any criticism that it's lazy. The script is laser focused. Every line, every beat is in support of these large themes that have always been there in Star Wars. But to your great point, the team involved with this, led by J.J. Abrams, said, what is Star Wars? At the end of the day, it is fear versus hope. Mm-hmm. If this is a family story, why do we value family? Because we are stronger together, because we are we don't just exist as individuals. Yes, we are individuals, and it matters what our individual choices are, but we are also symbiotic with everything around us, with our immediate family, with the larger family of the planet, with the larger family of the galaxy. So let's take these core themes, fear versus hope, the importance that two are truly better than one, and let's be laser focused on them. And it's really amazing. There's no wiggle room. That's what in my assessment, that's what every beat of this conflict is about. That's what every line of this conflict is about. Those core themes that they said to us, this is the core of Star Wars, to the core of the Skywalker saga.
Yeah, you have my vote. Absolutely. No, really, I really believe what you're saying there. And again, I think it just how do you do that, right? How just to be a whiteboard in a conference room. All right, what is Star Wars and how do we get there?
But I mean, you build on everything that's come before, right? Of who is Palpatine? Everything we talked about. Who's Palpatine? What does he want? Who are Ben and Rey? What do they want? The question for the whole Resistance is, can they keep this spark alive? And if they do, will more people follow them? Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
I think I just get kind of passionate because I understand that people are gonna have their favorites between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, and I think there are real big tonal differences between the two. Yeah. But in terms of the ideas, I feel like a lot of Rise of Skywalker is building on all the ideas that were there. It's not starting with a blank slate and going, "Oh, what are we gonna do?"
No, and I think you would say it goes back to episode 1. It goes to Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon standing before Boss Nass and symbiote circles, and what do we do? How do we build from there? It's all there. It's all strung out to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. A bunch of different wonderful thoughts that people have shared about, Anakin quoting his mom Shmi, that the problem is that no one helps each other, right? I mean, everything can be tied back to those themes. Other filmmaking things I think about is just I want as many behind the scenes photos someday as we can possibly get for Ian McDiarmid filming this.
Oh, yeah.
There's the great shot from one of the prequel films of him taking a little sip of water, all dressed up as Palpatine. Right. So I want to see him taking water sip breaks in the Omen harness. I think about that a lot. And the final thing I think about a lot is just the sound effect design. There's a lot of great technical things going on in this big finale, but I think between the lightning and the way the sound drops out when the Skywalker blade flies into Rey's hand, it's so well done to me. Of Palpatine screaming, "I am all the Sith!" Right? He's screaming it, and it is over this sort of cacophony of noise, right? And the sound dropping out. Not only does it for us, the audience, get us to like put the emphasis on that of the lightsaber flying into her hand, but it's almost like that's Rey's reality. Palpatine's all screaming and noise. In Rey's reality, when she is standing there confident and strong, is it's calm and centered and quiet in the middle of this storm. and she is confident that she is all the Jedi. So like the sound design is just cool, but the sound design also just really, really builds the story of what is different between these two people.
I love that. And going back to the stadium analogy, she's just here's nothing but the baseball flying at her bat, All slow motion.
And Palpatine is the baseball. Excellent. Any other thoughts before we take a quick break?
No, during the break, I'm going to go watch this again.
Sounds good. We'll be back in about a half an hour or so. Back in a moment. And we are back to continue discussing this big climax finale of Rise of Skywalker and the lightsaber use in it. A lot of stuff we've been talking about is the general scene, the general conflict, the design, what the characters want. But we want to be able to spend plenty of quality time on what's actually going on and being said with the lightsabers. So we're going to zero in on the specific beats of lightsaber use and discuss them a little bit. So, Ken, let's start at the beginning. Palpatine wants Rey to use the Skywalker blade to strike him down in a ritual of hate that will allow Palpatine to possess her. To you, what is important, interesting, fun about this lightsaber use?
It's just this simple little puzzle of, hey, what you want is what I want, huh? And you just have to unlock that riddle and change your perspective on it. It's aggression versus defense, hate versus love, justice versus vengeance. And that big line from Rey, you want me to hate, but, I won't. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but like, not today. I just love it. It's everything to me. It's everything to me because it's what's at play there. Because, not to break it outside the walls of this podcast, but there's sometimes you still get some of that discourse around if he wanted her to kill her and she wanted to kill him and Kylo wanted to kill, he wins. He gets what he wants. It's the how, it's the why behind it. That's what this is about. And to see her get that, to unlock that little riddle, because I think the dark side does that to all of us. That quicker, easier, more seductive thing is she could have easily just been like, hey, you're right, I will strike you down, you monster. And then you've fallen, you've slipped on the banana peel, and you've lost the day. And she unlocks that riddle. It's just kind of fun. It's interesting, but it's just kind of fun, all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's powerful about it to me is Rey has gone through this journey over the course of the sequel trilogy, but in this film in particular, with I have accepted the mantle of Jedi. I know it is a lot of power. I have seen up close from Kylo and from Snoke what happens when that power is used poorly. I've seen how torn up Luke is about the fear of even using that power poorly. I know how much I don't want to let Leia down, or Finn, or Poe, or Rose, and she's got put all this pressure on herself. And she has stumbled, right? When Kylo tells her that Palpatine is basically responsible for her parents' death, she's got that great little scene with Finn where she says she's going to go to Exegol and end him.
Yeah.
It's not overplayed, but it is definitely with a spirit of vengeance, right? And Finn's like, yeah, this isn't like you know. And then she gives in to all that understandable, totally relatable fear and anger of these the dark monsters are chasing her, claiming that she's going to be one. She lashes out, and she lashes out at Kylo in that fight, and it does not get her what she wants, and it sets her stumbling back. So I feel like she enters this fight clear of mind of that's not what I'm here to do. I am not here to give into vengeance because I have seen where that goes. That's not what I want to be. That's not who I am. That's not who my parents were. That's not who Luke and Leia are, and I'm not gonna do it. So I think it's she is more well guarded against the manipulation than Palpatine realizes.
Yeah, no, she knows the score. She knows the game plan. She's unlocking it and putting all this stuff together. Yeah, but you're right. It's and he's just going to assume why it's even go to Cassian Andor, steal from the Empire. You just walk in. They don't think you're going to get there. They don't think you belong,
Of course you want to kill me. And and that's the great thing too, is like, this is what we talk about with Jedi. It's not that they're just like, oh, I had a video game choice to take path A or path B. I took path A and now I'm good all the time. It's like, I think stand there in front of him. She does want to cut him down, but she's not going to give in to that. Right. Totally. And it is all about the how. Right. And I think Palpatine is, that's what's happening to me specifically with the lightsaber, right? Palpatine doesn't say, kill me, dealer's choice. He's not like blast me, choke me, bash my skull with a rock. It's take out your Jedi weapon, then with the stroke of her saber, the Sith are reborn, the Jedi are dead. He wants to pervert not just Rey, he wants to pervert that weapon.
Yeah.
You know? He wants her to use that Jedi weapon, that symbol of peace and defense, lies in his perspective, and he wants her to use it honestly for revenge, for hatred, for attack, as he has convinced someone else to use that exact blade in that way, and he thinks he can do it again.
I love this too. It goes into your idea of he's real petty too. There's a lot of big themes that play with that blade, but also him like, and then I'll use that blade to just make the Sith win. Oh, it'll be great.
Yeah, specifically that blade.
Yeah, I can soil the Skywalker name.
Yes, I can soil the blade of Skywalker once again. Yeah. So I think, again, that's the thing that gets into the mythic, but also the pulpy. This is a ritual that we don't know all the details about, right? It's some weird Sith ritual that has got these specific beats that he is describing to his audience of sycophants. And the lightsaber being used not just to strike someone down, but to specifically strike someone down with anger and revenge in their heart is part of this pulpy ritual that he is trying to enact.
Love that. I love that.
So moving on then, because I could say pulpy ritual forever, and I might. Rey defies Palpatine, and she passes the Skywalker blade to Ben Solo through their Force dyad connection. What is important, interesting, fun about this lightsaber use to you, Ken?
I think there's something, you've talked a lot about this, and it's been in the center for a lot of our discussions, and it's, so definitely want to pass the podcast blade to you here. But we've spent 3 movies, some comics, some books, coloring books, I'm sure as well, that, fighting over this blade, right? They've just, it's what's at the center of a lot of it, literally. It's the visuals. And just have Rey willingly pass this blade to Ben Solo, not Kylo, obviously. She feels him there. She wants him there. I don't know. It was beautiful. If I could be melodramatic, it was beautiful. It's touching. It's important. It's simple, small. And it's one of those like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know we could do that too. As we learn more things in each movie that you can do with the Force if you just believe. So all was there. I just love how it played out. And again, we talked about the actual moment. I think the look on Rey's face is played by Daisy Ridley in that moment. And even that little like, yeah, from Ben. Almost not to say like I'm worthy, but just like, no, I'm here with you. I'm here for you. Do it. And we're going to do this together. It's beautiful stuff, man.
Yeah. I feel like that they sense everything going on with one another, maybe even physically see, even though it's not presented to us, the audience that way, maybe they even physically see everything and he sees this idea in her mind. And that one feels like, yeah, good idea. Do it. I'm ready. I mean, there's some like deep stuff about this, obviously, that makes it really emotional. But I just also want to start at, for me, it is one of the coolest lightsaber moments in all of Star Wars, right? Like just shot for shot, beat for beat, the big melodramatic setup of it. Palpatine being sure he's won to the point where he closes his eyes and gets ready for that blissful strike of hate, perverting that weapon and killing the Jedi. And then just Rey's magic hand reveal is a great shot. Ben pulling it out and the great Knights of Ren stumbling back, right? And then to top it all off, the Ben Solo shrug of like, okay, yep, now I'm ready to go.
Not right.
It's just cool. Every beat of it is cool and fun.
On that too, connected again. I know some of this doesn't play with everybody. We're always trying to be understanding that. I tie a lot of this to what I now love specifically about Revenge of the Sith that I didn't always love myself. Unlimited Power was a bad moment for me for a while until it became one of my favorite because I think I bought into more of the themes and everything behind it. And George going, no, more, louder, over the top, because that's kind of what's at the center of this silly little space saga we all love. And so I don't know if you're there for some of the Revenge of the Sith stuff, which is really dramatic. All the stuff with Anakin and Obi-Wan, it's so over the top in the most wonderful way because it is this myth on the shores of Mordor itself, essentially, hell. So I think there's a connective thread And I'm not saying that everyone who loves Revenge of the Sith loves Rise of Skywalker or loves this specific stuff, but even in hearing you describe it, it's not unlike the good henceforth, all those things that people kind of made fun of over the years until they loved it, or the generation that just always loved it, or the fans that just always loved it, because those exist too. I love all of that. See, because you meant the Knights of Ren, what yoinks? Like, it's just, I'm there for it. And I know, I understand if you're not. I get it. I can at least try to see your side on that, but it's just, I'm not lying. I just love every beat of it. It's emotional, pulls me in, but also the magic trick vibe of Rey going in and here. And Palpatine, of course he'd close his eyes. He doesn't anticipate anything going wrong for him, or there's nothing he can't control, because he's Palpy, baby. And from Padme to Leia to now Rey and Luke all the way, everyone's always throwing a little wrench in his machine there, and I like it.
Yeah, because no matter how many times he gets defeated, or no matter how many times people defy his expectations, his truth is everyone is selfish and out for themselves. And everybody wants vengeance more than anything. So of course Rey's going to break,
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, sure.
No, I love what you're saying. And it is a quick divergence, but like, I think I will get a little bit more passionate and still try to state it as opinion, but defend what is in the film and what is being said, because I feel like one can point to evidence in the text, right?
Yeah.
And then there is the just taste, what you like, what you don't like, and that's just everybody's individual thing for sure. And I feel like I could stand in front of a random group of Star Wars fans of all ages and say, part of the reason I like Rise of Skywalker is because it feels a little bit more just bonkers pulpy, like the prequels. I like Rise of Skywalker because it's closer to the prequels. And I feel like some of the audience would applaud and go, yes. And a bunch of people would shout back at me, yes, we know. That's why we don't like Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on it. It gets into a bigger discussion of discourse that I just wish people would be a little bit more honest about. This isn't my taste, right? This isn't my taste. It happens. It happens. There's things out there people love. They've suggested it to me. I've seen it or been around it. And I'm like, it isn't for me. Last Kingdom or whatever that show is. Yeah, it just doesn't click with me in the way Game of Thrones did. Sorry. And glad it clicked with you. And that's what it is.
And so be it. So talking a little bit about, Rey passing the blade to Kylo, and talked about the fun of it and some of the pulpiness of it. But yeah, I think the depth of it is really powerful, right? I think it's, for me, I like stories where characters have happy moments that are earned through all of the hell they go through. And I think it's really a moment like that. That's what makes it powerful to me, right? Because Rey and Kylo Ben have had this intimate connection. And the intimate connection has been many things. The first moment of intimate connection is an invasion of Kylo forcing himself into Rey's mind and her forcing back into his mind and seeing his great fear that he won't live up to Vader, right? And then in Last Jedi, there is first an unwanted connection. They're kind of both mutually invading one another's space and intimacy, and becoming close over that. In the moment of their greatest closeness, when they touch fingers, they see one another's minds and entirely misinterpret what's there to think that the other is just going to do what the other wants, right? Then that connection in the earlier parts of Rise of Skywalker becomes stalking. Basically, Kylo just won't stop popping up, and Rey can't, block the call. The connection becomes a threat to her friends when he is able to discover where she is. So this connection, this deep intimacy, has been many things, and now finally it's pure, and it's what it should be. It's about symbiosis. It's about being stronger together. So for me, there's this whole arc of what has their connection been? And this is a moment of victory, where their connection is finally what it should be. And that this long, long story of them pushing and pulling that specific blade down to, Rey throwing it to him in The Last Jedi because she thinks he's heading in a different direction than he is. This is, to me, Rey having totally accepted that blade. She's not trying to pass it off to anybody else. She is fully giving him the blade because he both needs it for defense, and he deserves it because she can sense, that's not Kylo's hand reaching out, that's Ben's hand.
Oh, absolutely. Totally. Yeah. No, Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wish you could just track it from, give me that. That's mine. Take it. Nope, you don't deserve it. Give that back to me. Do I want this? I don't deserve it. Oh, now you deserve it. I mean, that's just put down the beats of the saber, of them fighting over the saber.
Yeah, and I mean, and I know we've talked about some of the stuff before, but I really want to highlight it because this is why we're talking about it in Magic of Lightsaber Fights.
Yes.
Because this lightsaber, it has always been imbued with meaning, but in particular in the sequel trilogy, it's really imbued with these meanings of legacy and ownership and sharing and defense, and Luke taking up the image of that blade to be a myth and to say, yes, I do believe the Jedi should continue. It's really powerful how it's used in this climax.
Yeah.
And then going from the depth, we go to some straight up fighting time. Keep the thrill going. We see Ben use the Skywalker blade to defeat the Knights of Ren. What's important, interesting, fun. What do you like about this just straight up lightsaber combat, Ken?
Well, the humor level is high. The shrug is also damn funny. Everything about it. There's a lot of it. Yeah. And also, this is truly the son of Solo here. Leia, yes, too. But I'm just, you look at Han, the finger point, everything, and even when he jumps and it's just it's played that way and it works that way. And so, therefore, in a lot of ways, two things come to mind. Yeah, well, actually, you just mentioned too. Going back to the Force Awakens dual interrogation scene, where I know the truth. You'll never be Darth Vader. It's your great fear. And in this moment here, there's a lot of acceptance by him of who he is and a glimpse of what he could have been. And it's Ben Solo. It's not Anakin Skywalker. It's not Darth Vader. It's not even Han Solo. It's himself. And I think there's a lot of, it's bittersweet because it's lost time that he, in the end, will never really get back. But I think that's a lot about what I love about that fight. It is him fighting like his father in a lot of ways, surface and on the deep down below. But in this moment, there is no longer that fear of I won't be Darth Vader. He is Ben Solo. And it's pretty powerful to watch.
Yeah, I love that, and goes to some of the great stuff you were saying about his motivations and his victory conditions for being there. Like it is amazing to think about, like some of what made him so easy to manipulate. I don't want to say easy to manipulate. Somewhat what led him open to manipulation by Snoke/Palpatine is probably feeling like he's not getting to make his own choices. He's not getting to decide who he is. So I love what you're saying of like, when he finds that TIE scout and goes to Exegol, he is totally making that choice himself, right? And that must give him such a conviction. I love that within this whole big finale that, doesn't, like you keep saying, have the full-on lightsaber on lightsaber combat, that there is just still some fun lightsaber combat. A couple of things I love in particular is I love to see the twirling motion, right? Because he doesn't really fully do that with his cross guard. He does lots of cool, interesting moves with the cross guard, right?
Yeah.
But that full, just like I'm kind of working up to a next swing that he does with that Skywalker blade. Every time I see that, it's like, well, that's Luke's training coming back, right?
Yeah.
And the way he spins it, the way he twirls it, he is twirling it like his namesake Ben Kenobi. And I just really love that kind of initial moment in the fight.
Yeah, there you go. No, that's some good old fashioned lightsaber style. Then.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now, the whole thing to me, this might be a little bit of headcanon of interpretation, but the whole thing feels like he is getting back into the flow of like, this is what it is to tap into the light side, right?
Yeah.
To be doing this out of pure defense because I have to, because it's a part of a bigger picture, not because I'm throwing a fit, selfish versus selfless. And I always take it as the kind of like, okay, I know how to do this. I know how to do this. But it's also a very Han Solo moment, that moment where he blocks behind his back and takes the little breath, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost a Han Solo, like being loud and cocky with the twirls. And then as soon as his face is away from the enemy, he's like, "Ooh, boy. Okay. I got this, right? I got this. Yeah. I got this."
Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah. And even though it's, it's big over the top action, flipping through the air and stabbing people, it still is to me defense, right? It's live or die.
Yeah. No. I hinted earlier, like, hey, he's got some things he's got to deal with. But I think you're right. Kylo in a mask would have just come down there and just sliced everyone in two, because why not? This is not that situation. He's kind of going to stop the fight. Who knows if the Knights of Ren have said, "Boss, buddy, you're here," and thrown down their weapons and teamed up to fight Palpatine? That was on the table maybe for Ben. I don't know. So I'm with you on that idea.
Oh yeah, if they were like, yeah, he'd be like, take the masks off and help me, I don't. He's not slaughtering them out of like, you guys are jerks.
Yeah.
It's life or death. I think is, it's made clear in the film the way they surround him and the way they violently attack him. Right, it's life or death for him.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So moving on, Rey ignites Leia Organa Solo's blade to defend against the attack of Palpatine's sovereign protectors. What's important, interesting, fun about this, Ken?
Well, look, this doesn't happen without Leia, right? And her journey with the Force. And to me, it's not just simply a payoff of a long play arc, if you will, that kind of really begun in 1980, if you know what I mean. The Dagobah stuff, and there is another. Leia means much more than just that, going before that with the rebellion and everything. I get that. But to me, it's an ode to Leia, just her using it, that blade being there, the design of it, what is set up with Leia knew her story, her arc, so to speak, would be finished. Someone else would come and pick up this blade. And so it's an ode to what she means as a character. You can't deny it's also kind of an ode of what Carrie Fisher was to the soul of this saga, the moxie of this saga. I think that's at play too. It's hard not to look at it that way. It's hard to separate those two. It really is, right? And Carrie would joke about that and demand 2 cents again, or say George it should be owed 2 cents. So I really love all about it. And some imagery, it even evokes the stuff in Snoke's throne room. You got the Sovereign Protectors that definitely look similar to the Praetorian Guards and definitely similar to the Royal Guards. But yeah, that's Palpatine's game plan. So it's just, it's like a good set dressing for me.
Yeah. I'll start for myself of what's challenging about this scene. Well, I should say I love everything you're saying about Leia, and it's spot on to see that lightsaber in active use. It isn't just I brought another one. It is, the importance that it's Leia's. But what I'm challenged by is that there are no action figures of the Sovereign Protectors. Come on. Hasbro loves making cool looking troopers. They're basically like Sith troopers with capes and totally unique, weird double blasters. Anyway. So I'm challenged by that every time I watch the film. But I think Rey using the Force to redirect the blaster bolts as well as the lightsaber. That was a really fun, surprising image. We've certainly seen like Vader, just block things with his hands. We've seen Kylo freeze a blaster bolt, but for Rey, it's just kind of like ultimate defensive skill, right? Of like, I'll block some of them with Leia's blade, but others I just kind of catch in the air and throw at another, throw it back at the person who shot at me, or throw it against the wall. That's great. And then the fact that Leia's blade is out there spinning, it's blocking things, it's sending blaster bolts back. But as other people have pointed out, there's no hacking or slashing at all, right? After she uses the blade against Kylo, she is only using that lightsaber truly, truly defensively to block incoming threats,
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah, which is really powerful. Another thing that I really like about this little part of the combat is if you really concentrate just on it, it's really funny when the fight begins and Palpatine's Omen harness just flies him backwards.
Yoink! Yeah.
It looks like, if you've ever been like, behind the scenes or seen a video of like a Peter Pan production that's gone wrong. The 18-year-old who's playing Peter Pan just gets suddenly whisked out of the shot into the wings. It's funny.
Look, I don't think it adds or fits the kind of aesthetic of Galaxy's Edge, but like an Omen harness boardwalk type of ride that just pulls you up into the sky, drops you down like on a bungee cord. That'd be great.
I would absolutely love that. All right, moving on. We see together Rey and Ben raise their blades to defy Palpatine, but of course, he Force steals their life energy and the blades clatter to the floor. This isn't that big of a moment of lightsaber action. It's lightsabers falling, but I included it because it's one of my favorite shots.
Yeah,
them both raising the blades. Am I bonkers, Ken, or do you like this shot as well?
Oh, we're both bonkers here because we want to sell this car to y'all here. What it's going to take to get you in this car? No, look, I love it. I'm glad you put it. The blades rising. God, no, that's great. You're not bonkers at all. Hey, look, this whole sequence. It's a beat that's a thematic reminder that the road is long with many a winding road. So I love this too. I love a little reminder that it ain't easy. You got to keep trying.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the couple things I love about it is it's the way the camera circles around, and there is just a lot of camera movement in Rise of Skywalker. I think that might be one of the things that makes people feel like the movie it moves real fast because the camera's in motion a lot, and the way the camera circles around them, it feels to me like, oh, that's about when we're going to cut to a different angle, but then it doesn't.
Right.
So there's this great like flow to it to me. And then just the utter unity of bringing those blades up is another beat that just kind of drives home this big idea, this big theme of two are stronger than one, right?
Yeah.
And to have that sort of moment of like, oh, right. And then to have the blades immediately drop, if lightsabers being treated as defense, as shields, to have them lose those shields, lose those symbols of the previous generation of their, parental figures and be unguarded and, maybe have failed their parents, there's a lot going on with that as well.
Yeah. And it turns itself into great art, that shot.
Yeah.
A lot of good photos made of it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to get then into the big physical finale, encouraged by the voices of Jedi past. Rey rises and calls both lightsabers to her hands and bounces Palpatine's barrage of Sith lightning back at him, destroying him forever? ? Mm-hmm. What is important, interesting, fun about this lightsaber use? Is this the ultimate?
Literally, my notes are like see above, just everything we've discussed so far. It's over the top. It's melodramatic. It is beautiful. It is poignant. It is. I remember watching it. Just the moment where she, I am all the Jedi, and the lightsabers come out, and it's like a fist pumping moment. But I also remember thinking, oh, I could write down a list of my friends who are going to not like this right now in this moment. So it's everything, and I do love it, and just that the whole sequence. I've even got some friends who maybe don't love Rise of Skywalker, but they do love just the lightning from Palpatine, the camera shot, and then Rey looking past all that. So there's a lot in this sequence here, in this big finale to the finale that I think's there for people to enjoy.
Yeah, no, there's so many, great lines we've talked about a lot when Rey reaches through to the Jedi, who have come before. Alone, never have you been is a big favorite of both of ours from Yoda. Right. Kanan's in the heart of a Jedi lies her strength. Great. Mm-hmm. I think when I was watching this to discuss on the podcast, the power of what Palpatine was saying really struck me, right? Of let your death be the final word in the story of rebellion, right?
Yeah.
It really drives home that, in his mind, to deny him personally in any way is rebellion. He worked real hard to get the mask of government and the mask of we're doing this for order, and to, make sure that some of his higher ups lived lives of absolute luxury and manipulate lots of propaganda to make everybody feel like, well, the Empire bringing that fist down was necessary. That was just control, order. The story before this is him doing a lot of work to have a mask. And once again, this is like a mask removed of I said go left and you went right. It's rebellion. You have to die. It just drives home how much it is. This is what's at stake. If he makes it out into the galaxy, then everything must be remade exactly as he wants it to be. And that's what the Jedi are there to block and to oppose and to contain.
And again, it's such a wonderful, big, epic line. The final story of rebellion. It's so great. And it does. Again, we always keep mentioning the unlimited power moment, only because you and I have talked about the mask is off. I get to be who I want to be in this moment. And he's kind of feeling like this is about to happen forever, right? This is forever for him. I don't have to wear nothing again. I can just be all angry sheep for here on out.
Yeah. I can just find more things to conquer. There's got to be more galaxies out there. I'll conquer them too.
I've read of the Yuzon Vong.
Yeah, we'll see about the Force not having an effect on them. Yeah. And then I think it's clear, we've talked about it a lot, but the double lightsabers being this ultimate final moment, Luke's wisdom in saying, you'll take both blades. Again, this very strong idea that two are stronger than one, in a literal way, in a conceptual way, in immediate family, and the whole symbiotic idea that it implies. And then the fact that what she's doing is literally blocking, defending the hatred and the anger and the control that's spilling out to the galaxy. His lightning was just up there, reaching out into the galaxy and affecting all these people. And what she's here to do is not to make decisions for all those people up there. She's just here to block that anger and hate so those people can go on and make their choices. I think it's a real physical symbol of the idea of what a Jedi is. You could make a YouTube video of that writer's room meeting where Lucas really makes clear what he means by balance of the Force, that the dark side reaches out and the dark side is not happy with 50-50. The dark side wants to gobble everything, and the Jedi there to hold the line. This is such a literal physical manifestation of it. And I think that there's a lot going on in Rise of Skywalker where there's big action here at the end, right? There's explosions. Not everybody makes it. And Palpatine, does get destroyed. All of the Sith cultists appear to be crushed by falling rocks. All those things. We have moments of Star Wars victory that are, Jedi just choosing to put down the blade. But I feel like for me, why this works is Rey is entirely centered on why she is doing this. It is defense. And Palpatine's actions, we've even got some great questions of like, why doesn't Palpatine ever stop shooting the lightning when it's bouncing back at him? Like, that is Palpatine, right? Well, if anger and hate and force and attacking don't work, how about what if more? That's all he's got, So I think that he can't believe that this, one lone Jedi who he's stripped of all of her, her friends are about to die. He's separated Ben Solo from her. He's sucked the energy out of her. And now she's still going to stand up to him. No, she can't. So he just pours it on more and more. And Rey does the final big pushback. But at the end of the day, this is Palpatine owning himself.
No, absolutely. Yeah, she takes a strong step forward. Sure. No, indeed. But no, this is truly the cover of the pamphlet of how to be a Jedi. I really second your idea there of this is at the core. Yeah, that Lucas speech is great. And sometimes even over the years where I've struggled in my own head, just like, what is that balance thing? Shouldn't you want to just destroy all the bad things? And to just see it described, I think, wonderfully in The Last Jedi, to see that Lucas clip going around and round and around and just have it be there, the franchise, the entire time. Does to me come down to this moment in a lot of ways. Just here is the simple visual of it, of what this really means. And you're right. She could have popped back up and she could have taken that blade, stomped down the hallway like she's Vader and cut him in two. And that's would have been exactly what he had been wanting the whole time, because why not? Look at all the things I've done to you. And you're right, Joseph. It's the only tool he has in the toolbox. That's not working. More. Because this is all I got. Because this is all evil is. This is all the dark side is. I love it. And again, it's big. It's over the top. I wouldn't want it any other way in episode 9.
No, I mean, look, if you want to talk about melodrama, I think if you look it up in the dictionary, you might see not only does Palpatine just burn up and shrivel into nothing, he dies so hard the planet goes nuts and boulders crush his thousands of followers.
Yes.
It is very over the top, but it is, and this is where I think the movie owns being pulpy and mythic. Hyper-realism is not the goal. The goal is to put symbolism on the screen, right? And in that moment, the ideals of the Jedi are defeating the ideals of the Sith, and so all the Sith go. And
No, this is a world that we're about to see the inner workings of politics while the rebellion is growing. We're about to see Mon Mothma at home and all this grounded stuff. At the same time, you got Thalassirans producing green milk, and Mortis exists, right? In the world between, this is all at play, and I think this kind of is pushing towards that.
Yeah,
while dealing with all the grounded things that got us here.
Yeah. And so I think at the end of the day, for me, this being the sort of the ultimate moment of lightsaber combat, the power that it isn't clashing blades and Rey finds an opening and gets the killing blow in.
Yes.
It's so much more powerful. That's like, what should a lightsaber be? It should be a symbol for defense. It should be a symbol for helping people who need help being defended from the darkness. It's a symbol of holding the darkness back, and it's just literally physically what happens in this climax.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. You said something there. I think it's wonderful. Of just that's why you don't end it with saber on saber, even if it's saber. That saber is red, because Return of the Jedi didn't end that way either, right? The blade is thrown down, and then when it is saber on saber, look how Revenge of the Sith ends. Not good for the galaxy. This is part of the points. This is why I think that's what we set up top. It's the Ballad of the Lightsaber and what it represents.
Yeah, and just to connect it back to our previous episode, we had a lot of fun discussing the great Rey and Kylo battle on the Death Star ruins, and talked a lot about how that is a thrilling, exciting, fun lightsaber battle. But what's different about it is they're both in such a low, dark place, and they're not going to get anything out of this combat. And it's shot and edited and sound designed to remind you of sort of like the emptiness of it, right? So this is such a great follow-up to then have a very different use of the lightsabers than that lightsaber on lightsaber combat we saw that felt empty and pointless. Yeah,
empty and pointless, indeed.
So we'll move on to the big emotional finale. This is not, part of the combat, unless that old woman attacks Rey at some point. But we're going to the Lars homestead because we've been talking for all the lightsaber fights of the Skywalker saga about the fun and the thrill, but also the meaning. It felt like we should end by talking about Rey burying those Skywalker twins' blades at the Lars homestead and then igniting her own blade. What is important, interesting, fun about this lightsaber moment to you?
Well, I just can't believe she moved there. She doesn't like sand. She stole BB-8. I can't believe the movie ended with her just moving to Tatooine. Unbelievable. Look, jokes aside, this trilogy, the sequel trilogy, dealt with the legacy of what came before, right? And it wasn't just about the previous generation or the new generation having to emerge from the previous generation. To me, there was mutual growth, a generational exchange of let's learn from both. And the previous generation kind of had to reconcile who they were because of the legends, the past hung over them, the Han, the Luke, and the Leia of it all. And then they had to help move the next generation forward, and they do. So all that's at play. And the next generation, to me, just can't simply move forward by destroying the past, right? That was the villain saying that, erasing legends, both bad and good. There's legends to celebrate and legends to learn from. They have to take it all. That take it all in and find out who they are as they move on in this story and be who they want to be. And that's what Rey is doing here. And they do it. And it's a through line from 7 to 9 for me. And this is that ending. It's peace and purpose. Rey on Tatooine is a lot of about peace and purpose for me. It is putting those blades to rest, not to bed, not to bury them as they're gone, dead, just to put them to rest. That story is over and it's a new beginning. And then just the simple symbolism. It's again, not even subtext, it's text, that kind of thing of her building this new blade from it and the two colors kind of flashing. I love it. I love everything about it. And again, going back to what I was saying earlier about if you're in a room, what should be the last shot? We got to go back to kind of where it started in a lot of different ways. And I think they do that.
Yeah, no, I really agree with that. I think to me, I have always felt it is like, yeah, she's on a pilgrimage, right? She knows that it is a turning of the chapter. She has fully accepted the mantle of, I am the Jedi heading into this generation. I don't want to kill the past, but I also don't want to be totally obsessed by the past. I need to find myself and define myself and take what is valuable from the past forward with me, take the things that didn't work in the past and be aware of them and move forward. And it is just such a great image, again, using these sort of endowed objects of the lightsabers, that they are both generational, because every Jedi builds them. They're personal, but there's this through line between them all. They are the symbol of a Jedi. Somebody young is saved by a Jedi, or here's a tale of a Jedi, and it's always with that blade standing up for peace and justice, right? So as she begins that journey, for her to respectfully bury the blades of the past, but take the idea of the blade forward by building her own, made of her staff, made of her own identity, is just this great balance, great way to end a generational tale. And I also just love that it is a mirror of the opening scene of Rise of Skywalker, where Ben is still in the throes of the dark side. He's Kylo Ren, and the opening scene is him going to Mustafar, going to Vader's castle, and it's him violently taking something from the past, from a haunted Skywalker dwelling. In the end, is Rey peacefully leaving something of the past at a Skywalker dwelling where there was love. And I think that's those bookends are very much on purpose to me. And one of the many things in Rise of Skywalker, which is always, I understand if somebody just plain old dislikes it. I understand if somebody recognizes all the ideas and says, I still don't like it, but I'll really defend that there are ideas here. And that's one that is really resonant to me. And I think the other thing that is only growing in value to me is the location. It does take, pulling in many years of Star Wars storytelling and kind of holding them in your heart as you watch this scene, because there's nothing in this movie that belabors it. But to me, the story has always been Luke got bored there and wanted to leave home. It wasn't an awful place. He was loved there. He had family there. He had everything that Rey wished that she had growing up. He had what Rey has now. It's where he and Leia, first connected. It's where Shmi knew love after a life of torture. People have pointed out that, that Shmi is buried there. So for me, I understand some people looking at it and going, yeah, why is Rey burying, the blades at some place that Luke had Luke's awful childhood, and what does Leia have to do with it? Like, I get some of those questions, but for me, I see it as it's a home. Yeah. And bad things happen there, good things happen there, but it's a place of family and unity and connection. And watching Rise of Skywalker again for this podcast, I was really kind of affected that we've now seen more of that, of what I imagine the Lars Homestead to be in the Obi-Wan television show, right?
Yeah, right.
We've seen that defense of Luke. We've seen, Luke ignoring his chores so he can play with toys. We've seen, Obi-Wan saying, you're right. He should just grow up here. He should just be a kid here, Yeah. So the storytelling around the Lars Homestead in the prequels, going forward to things like Obi-Wan Kenobi, only to me make the idea that I've always felt in the film more resonant, that this is a place of connection and family.
Second that in a major way. I'm making fun up top, but I also, I got to tell you, I get sometimes frustrated with that surface level engagement with that kind of stuff. And I think there's a lot there, and you have to also be it has to be a little meta, right? It has to be.
Yeah.
I mean, you got 3PO saying every 42 years of the Aki Festival of the Ancestors, that at the time was 42 years from New Hope. It's just, I think you got it. I really think it's part of this experience that we as fans can plug into. And it's made a lot of sense to go back to where it all began in a lot of different ways, thematically and otherwise.
Yeah. And for me, the ignition of the blade her blade has always made perfect sense of like, okay, I am burying the lightsabers of these parental figures, and now I am looking at my own. I mean, my dad sent me a piece of art. I've been asking him to send me a piece of art. He's a very good natural artist, and he's pursued it sometimes in his life and sometimes he hasn't. And he sent me a drawing that he made years ago, all nicely framed. And I swear to God, I wasn't even thinking about Rise of Skywalker. I looked at it, and then I picked up a drawing that I had made to sort of compare them and feel that connection through time and space to my father, you know?
Yeah.
To me, that's what's happening when she's igniting her blade.
Look, man, and I think I even in the moment took it as, perhaps she built it and, like she wanted to wait for this to be the first time to really ignite it. I don't know. I don't need it. In fact, by the way, you didn't even go this deep into it. You just put the blades up and it's yellow and it means something. Like, like that's kind of where I stopped with it. But I kind of took it as that too, of just like, yeah, we are ready to go forward now.
Yeah. And obviously we've talked about the end of the film a bunch, and we're wandering farther from lightsabers. But I think it's connected to everything we've talked about. So I just wanted to share that I love that old woman's line of "There's been no one for so long." Obviously, it's literal. She's saying like, yeah, and nobody's decided to live at the old Lars homestead, right? Yeah. But there's been no one for so long is such a mythic line, right? I feel like that's, saying to us, the audience, like there hasn't been a Jedi that the whole galaxy sees and knows and celebrates in so long. And here you are.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I support that and I take it as that. And I'm good with that. And then the twin suns roll up and it's a great final shot.
Yeah. And you believe that's Pelimoto, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fun fan theory. All right. Out of 10 lightsabers fully ignited, how many lightsabers do you personally give this big lightsaber finale of the Skywalker saga? Despite this might come as a shock, loving everything. I'm going down to 8 out of 10, which is still high. Mm-hmm. The number one reason, throwing in the entire Battle of Exegol sequence, I would have wanted this entire thing to be an hour. All of it. Give me the extended cut. Just an hour, a lot of twists and turns. More, you get more time with Wedge if Dennis Lawson wanted to be on set for more than a day. Whatever. Give me an hour, and so that's why I just sometimes watch it and go, all right, yeah. I could have taken more. And also, if I'm turn on Rise of Skywalker specifically for a lightsaber fight, I am going to Kif Bir and Death Star 2. That's my favorite lightsaber fight of this. But all that, what this means, the emotions that are at play, there's a lot of great emotional moments in this final sequence. So 8 out of 10, solid 8 out of 10 for me. Yeah, I really like that. And I like your rationale. I would maybe, if we were talking about the space battle too, I would definitely knock one off for R2 not having a hero moment. I've had some fantasies about like, what could have R2 done? How could we have highlighted R2 more? Yeah. But for this, I'm going to give it 10 out of 10 because this isn't technically a lightsaber on lightsaber fight, but these are lightsabers being used as the Jedi want to use them. These are lightsabers as true symbols of the Jedi. They're used for defense, for inspiration, for protecting others so they can live the lives they choose. That is what a lightsaber is for. So it's a 10 out of 10 for me. Any final thoughts, Ken?
No, I really, if we were just, rating on the emotions and the themes, 10 out of 10 is a solid rating for me too. But good stuff. Love it. A lot of fun to rewatch. Right now, I got to tell you, Rise of Skywalker is still my go-to, just kind of rewatch Star Wars if it's on in the background movie. I'm having a lot of fun taking it in.
Yeah, it's been really, really great to go on this journey through the Skywalker saga films, talking about these lightsaber fights, seeing how they change over the years, seeing how like the ideas of what the lightsaber fights mean, seeing the amount of variety and where the characters' heads are at as they're in the fights. All that stuff has been really great. And the Magic of Lightsaber Fights will return and continue in some form. We've talked about doing maybe some of the fights from Obi-Wan Kenobi, some of the great ones in various animated shows. We'll see where the future takes us. But for now, Ken, where can people find us?
Hey, you can find us on Twitter at ForceCenter Pod. We're on Instagram and YouTube as well. Give us a sub over there so you won't miss our Q&As. We do monthly live Q&As. A lot of fun with all of you out there. You can find us on a lot of spots, including Acast, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. Just search. You'll find us merch available at tpublic.com/user/ForceCenter. You could support us directly at patreon.com/ForceCenter. You can tell it's extra hot in my studio because even with water, my mouth is not working properly here. You can find me at Napzok or go to my website, cadnapzok.com for more. Joseph, where can they find you?
At the top of the podcast, we were joking that we were sitting in a Bacta tank, but right now I kind of feel like it's definitely time to wrap up the podcast. You can find me on all the social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok is at Joseph Scrimshaw, and you can go to my website, josephscrimshaw.com, for links to all my comedy adventures, past and present, comedy albums, a book I wrote. I'll be getting some information out about the H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival. I have a short film playing there in October 7th through the 9th is that festival, and more information on that coming soon. But for now, for myself, for Ken, for Lightsabers, this has been ForceCenter.